Stephen A., your reaction on Slim Luka getting paid?
Very predictable. Wise move by the Los Angeles Lakers. They had no choice. He is the future. And a bad year for him. Injured, out of shape. He still averaged 28, 8, and 7.
Stephen A., it's clear that being summarily dismissed in Dallas has led to Luka being more motivated when it comes to taking his off-season strength and conditioning.
In February 2025, we all collectively got the most insane notification of our lives. Shams drops a bomb that makes you question if his account got hacked. Luka Doncic to the Lakers, Anthony Davis to the Mavs, and the entire NBA world just stopped spinning. LeBron's probably looking at this like, yeah, this is exactly what I needed for my last dance. JJ Redick's drawing up plays knowing he's got a point guard who can actually stay in front of people now. And the best defender nomination at Eurobasket, that's just the cherry on top of his revenge Sunday. Fans are absolutely destroying Nico Harrison on social media. One fan tweeted, as Nico says, defense wins championships, with the angry face emoji. The memes are absolutely ruthless. But let's talk about what this actually means from a basketball perspective, because losing 30 pounds isn't just about looking good in photos. According to sports science experts, every pound loss reduces joint loading by roughly 4 pounds per step.
In the end, he's the future. He doesn't have a year or two left like LeBron James. He's got a decade left, if not more. So he is who he is. They did the right thing. We all know what time it is. And who knows, LeBron James might have more than that, because in terms of his conditioning, he's obviously one of the greatest ever, period. But he takes great care of himself, of course. So he may be around for a bit longer than 2 more years if he so chooses.
And honestly, he wasn't alone. This wasn't just any trade. This was the first time in NBA history that 2 reigning All-NBA players were traded for one another mid-season. And this was just the tip of the iceberg. Just got nominated for the Best Defender at Eurobasket 2025. Guy who Dallas said couldn't play defense is now in the conversation for Best Defender in all of Europe.
There were some things that happened internally where, the person who traded Luka didn't want me there, and so they won. I lost.
So let's get this party started. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to get the latest basketball news to your device. And now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Listen, before we get to this insane redemption arc, we gotta talk about what really went down in Dallas. Back to basketball. Defense. That was the official reason. But behind closed doors, the real story was way messier. According to ESPN's reporting, Luka's weight had ballooned to the high 260s early in the season. He hit 270 pounds. To put that in perspective, that made him the 7th heaviest active player in the entire NBA. As a guard, the Mavericks were so concerned that when he had a wrist injury in November, they basically used it as a cover-up to get him to focus on conditioning. The Athletic's Sam Amick reported that people within the Mavs organization straight up called Luka lazy. His weight was a source of frequent frustration for team officials. And get this, when Harrison finally made the trade, he didn't even tell Jason Kidd about it until it was basically done. The franchise player who had just taken them to the finals 8 months earlier got dumped via text like a bad hinge day. It's no wonder why Dallas Maverick fans still treat Nico Harrison like this. And here's where this story takes a turn that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. Luka took all of this personally. On May 1st, 2025, one day after the Lakers got bounced in the first round by the Minnesota Timberwolves, Luka texted his manager, Lara Beth Seeger, with the simple message: start the off-season training program ASAP. Not in a week, not after vacation, not after a couple of heads of hookah, right now. And what happened next was nothing short of miraculous. For the first time in his entire basketball life, Luka Doncic put the basketball down for a whole month. Think about that. This is a guy who's been playing basketball since he was a kid in Slovenia, went pro at 16 with Real Madrid, and he voluntarily didn't touch a basketball for 30 days. Luka was consuming over 250 grams of protein per day. I'm assuming he's doing that because he's doing 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight that he has to retain muscle mass. Slovenia started the tournament absolutely terribly. They lost their first 2 games to Poland and France. They were basically dead in the water. 1 more loss, and they're going home. Their backs weren't just against the wall was basically falling on them. And then Luka went nuclear. Game 3 against Belgium, 26 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds, a triple-double. He became just the 4th player since 1995 to record a triple-double in Eurobasket, the youngest player to reach 400 Eurobasket points since Tony Parker in 2007. Game 4 against Iceland, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Slovenia Slovenia advances to the knockout round. But here's what nobody was talking about yet. Luka was playing defense, like actual, legitimate lockdown defense. And then came the round of 16 against Italy. 36 seconds into the game, Luka takes a hard fall on his right side. Everybody's thinking, here we go again with the injuries. But no, this new Luka is a different animal, but the same beast. He drops 42 points. 5 of 11 from 3, 15 of 16 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Slovenia wins 84-77. Through the entire tournament, the stats are absolutely absurd. Luka is averaging 34 points per game, leading the entire tournament, 8.3 rebounds, 7.2 assists. And here's the number that made Nico Harrison look like an absolute fool. Luka averaged 3.2 steals per game. Yes, you heard that correctly. The guy who supposedly couldn't play defense was leading all of Eurobasket in steals. His teammate Klemen Prepelic, who's played with Luka for years on the national team, said something really interesting. I had noticed it already at the first training. He talks much more than in the past. You can already see signs of the new Luka. It's probably something the Lakers expect of him as well. He's the leader now. His voice counts the most. This has been a recurring theme in his entire NBA career. Back in 2021, after the Olympics, he admitted he came into training camp at 260 pounds. He said, and I quote, "I had the Olympics, took 3 weeks off, and relaxed slightly, maybe too much." In 2023, the Mavs literally had conversations with him about his weight when he showed up at 260 again. There's this pattern, right? Luka would come in heavy, play himself into shape during the season, dominate in the playoffs, then gain it all back over the summer. It was like watching someone yo-yo diet, but with incredible, transcendent basketball skills. But this time feels different, and you know why? Because this time, it wasn't just about basketball. This was about respect. This was about proving people wrong. The Mavericks basically said, "You're too fat and lazy to be our franchise player," and traded him for Anthony Davis. Can you imagine the disrespect after he took them to the finals after 5 straight All-NBA first teams? The Lakers, meanwhile, are sitting there like they just won the lottery. They got a 26-year-old generational talent who's now in the best shape of his life and playing defense like his life depends on it. For a guy who's dribbling, cutting, and jumping for 35+ minutes a night over an 82-game season plus playoffs, that's massive. We're talking about dramatically reduced stress on his knees and ankles, better lateral quickness, improved stamina, less likelihood of those nagging injuries that kept popping up when he was heavier. The risk, of course, is muscle loss. Rapid weight loss can affect your shot if you lose too much strength. But Luka's been smart about it. He's been working with the whole team. He has his trainer Anze Macek, nutritionist Lucia Almendros, and others. This isn't some crash diet. This is a complete lifestyle overhaul, and the results speak for themselves. At Eurobasket, he's not just dominating offensively like we're used to. He's everywhere on defense. And no, I actually mean this as a compliment. Ben Simmons was good at this. At steal rate of 3.2 per game, that's elite territory. That's all defense conversation territory. Now look, we gotta keep it real. Yes, I'm a diehard Los Angeles Laker fan, and Eurobasket competition isn't the NBA. With Luka's otherworldly offensive talent, man, the league might really be in trouble. Think about what the Lakers are getting here. They're getting a guy who just signed a 3-year, $165 million extension, which is actually a discount from the Supermax he would have gotten in Dallas. He's locked in through 2028. He's 26 years old. He's in the best shape of his life, and he's absolutely furious about how his time in Dallas ended. After that 42-point masterpiece against Italy, he said having Luka next to legends like Drazen Petrovic shows how big of a basketball player he is at only 26. And he's right. Luka just passed Drazen to become the 3rd all-time in Eurobasket scoring average. The only guys ahead of him are Nikos Galis and Radivoje Korac, absolute legends of European basketball. But here's the thing that should scare the rest of the NBA. This isn't even Luka's final form. He's just 26 years old. He's now learning how to take care of his body properly. He's just now understanding what it takes to maintain elite conditioning year-round. Most superstars figure this out in their early 20s. The Lakers' opening night is October 21st against the Warriors. Can you imagine the storylines? Steph versus Luka, the Warriors who tried to trade for LeBron now facing him and his new running mate, a slimmed-down, locked-in, defensively engaged Luka Doncic making his Lakers home debut. The crowd at Crypto is going to be absolutely electric, and somewhere in Dallas, Nico Harrison is going to be watching, knowing he traded away a generational talent who finally figured out the one thing reasoning that was holding him back, and he's going to have to live with that decision for the rest of his life. The Mavericks justified this trade by saying they were building for the future. They said Anthony Davis gives them a better chance to win now. But let's be real, they panicked. They saw a player who came in overweight again, and they lost faith. They worried about paying him the supermax. They worried about his long-term health, and they made the worst trade in NBA history. Magic Johnson even said that LeBron James would be a positive influence, teaching Luka the championship mentality that includes taking conditioning seriously, and it worked. Luka's performance at Eurobasket is just the appetizer for hardcore basketball fans that are starving to see his development. When NBA training camps open in a couple of weeks, we're going to see a version of Luka Doncic that the league has never seen before. A Luka who can play 40 minutes without getting gassed, a Luka that doesn't lethargically jog with the basketball in his hands, and a player who can guard the opposing team's best perimeter player in crunch time. A Luka who's angry, motivated, and has something to prove. So let me know in the comments section down below, do you believe Luka Doncic's weight loss is for real? Or do you think I'm just overhyping him because I'm a diehard Laker fan?
Last regular season game next Sunday when everybody's in action. Doncic throw it up, score!